So what we're going to go over today is a couple different things, and this is pretty good information. You may want to watch this whole video. So what we got is one thing that we've changed since we started doing them is we started using a dorman inner fender liner. But one of the reasons that we started using the dorman is the gauge steel is a little bit thicker than the original gauge steel from Ford. Plus, there's a little bit different cost on this one too. It's a little bit cheaper, but you'll have some imperfections, but they don't make any difference to installing them. The next thing that I want to talk about is after we get done welding it and we do all that stuff that we mentioned in the very first video. You can look that up on Clay Rogers YouTube if you haven't seen it. Is we use a Loctite brand. You can get that at Home Depot. You can get it just about any hardware store. That's one of the other things that we did. The other thing that we've done is we started using a pretty good chisel that we got from Ace Hardware to be able to remove the glue inside here. We also use a numeric sawzall with a little pointer on the end of it, but that's not really what the video is about. But them are some of the changes and improvement that made this easier. Now, the next thing that I wanted to talk about was the aftermarket fiberglass kit that you can buy. You can see that the whole inner fender liner's out. We're ready to start pretty much installing our little bit of floor work, and we got a little bit more cleaning up to do on the rust. And then once we install that, weld everything, we'll paint this. We actually use a conductive paint prior to putting our welds on there, so we can try to eliminate some of the trainer. All right, so one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was there's an aftermarket kit that allows you to install a mount here for your shock, and it comes up as a tower. It looks pretty good. It's pretty impressive, nicely made. The problem is this frame rail rusts out right here. So depending on the location of where your shock lands, you might end up having some frame problems. That's why I don't use that kit, and that's why I use the steel. Plus, on top of that, once you get all the bad metal out, if you were to try to save this little bit of metal right here, it would kind of be pointless. It feels to me, now I've never used the kit, and I'm sure that's a great kit, feels to me you're going to do the same amount of work. The only difference is you're going to need a welder or a buddy with the welder to weld it in there. I think, and this is my personal opinion, using the factory part is probably your best idea. Also, you're only going to change this part for once. They make a big point of saying, never have to do this again. You're probably never going to do this again anyways, because you're not going to have the car for another 20 years. So you're probably only going to have to do this once no matter what the situation is. But another thing that happens is generally moisture gets down in here, and that's pretty much what rusts out these sides. I don't know why it happens more on that side than on this side, but even this side has a little bit of rust to it, as you can see. Not terrible, but it is what it is. Plus, the aftermarket kit that includes the fiberglass is super messy. You know, this is labor intensive. That's labor intensive because you got to do all that fiberglass work. But this takes the rust out of there. In this situation, we're going to end up replacing a little bit of the floor. Not a big deal. We'll just make some clips and make this ridge, remake this ridge right here, and bada boom, bada bing, we'll be able to seal the two pieces back together. So hopefully this little bit of update on what we've done with these is very helpful, and you're willing to subscribe to my page, because I try to do the best I can. I try to make the best, quickest videos I can, and try to show you how to do stuff that is a little bit out of the norm. If you need this vehicle done for you, hey, hit me up on Clay's AC and Auto. I've had people bring these things from three states away. I mean, it's crazy, because I generally only charge about $850 for parts and labor. The only time that generally goes up is if I have a little bit of floor work like this one, and you're only talking $50 to $100, or if you need new shocks. But we can generally get it done for less than $1,000. If that's helpful, remember, don't be the next to them, be the first to you, and you can't break what's already broken. Have a great day, and God bless too.